Have you ever felt it? That quiet, almost constant sense that something's missing. It's not about not having enough things or success or even relationships. It's this deeper feeling, a sense of incompleteness that just kind of hums right under the surface of life. A feeling that no matter what we do or what we get, that real fundamental sense of being whole is always just out of reach. It's this search we're all on, really. A quiet ache for something more. And that brings us to this huge question that sits right at the heart of being human. Why? Why do we feel this way? This constant feeling of being a separate, kind of limited and, let's be honest, kind of inadequate piece of some much bigger puzzle? But what if that feeling isn't some personal failure? What if it's actually just the default setting for being human? What if it's the real starting point for a much deeper look into who we actually are? Because of this core feeling of lack, our lives can so easily become this frantic chase. We run after security through money, we chase pleasure and experiences, we strive for bigger and better achievements, all of it just trying to fill this hole inside. And yet, so often, it feels like we're pouring water into a bucket with no bottom. The satisfaction, it's temporary, right? And that underlying feeling of not enoughness, well, it always comes back, sometimes even stronger. And this is where we get to an idea that can turn everything upside down. What if the very tool we're using to solve the problem, our own mind, is actually creating the problem in the first place? What if our mind, through all its deep conditioning and its basic misunderstanding of reality, is actually misinterpreting everything, and in doing so, creating this deep, painful conflict between who we think we are and who we really are? So, with that big question setting our direction, here's the journey we're going to take together. We've talked about this search we're all on. Now, we're going to dig into why the mind itself needs to be prepared for this journey. Then, we'll build the foundation for seeing clearly, discover a powerful inner toolkit for stability, and finally, connect with the heart of it all, the real energy that gives it all meaning. Step by step, we'll get closer to understanding what it really means to have a mind that's ready for truth. So why is this preparation so absolutely crucial? Well, it's because deep down, there's a major conflict going on. A conflict between our true nature, which you could describe as limitless, whole, unchanging awareness, and the tool we use to experience everything, our mind. See, the mind, just by its design, is conditioned, it's limited, and it's always changing. And that mismatch, well, that's the source of so much of our inner struggle. So think about it like this. On one side, you have your true nature. It's whole, it's boundless, it's constant, kind of like the vast clear sky. But then on the other side, you have the conditioned mind. It sees itself as this separate little thing. It's a whirlwind of changing thoughts and feelings, and man is it full of preferences. This constant tug of war between I like this and I don't like that. It's like trying to see that clear, peaceful sky through a window that's dirty, scratched, and constantly shaking. You just can't see what's really there. And this leads to a really important realization. An unprepared mind will always interpret a teaching according to its own ignorance. It'll just twist and bend any new insight to fit what it already believes. It might even take this incredible idea of awareness or freedom and turn it into just another goal to chase, another shiny object to get out there, which only makes that feeling of separation even stronger. The mind itself has to be readied, calmed, and clarified before it can see the truth without twisting it. So how do we even begin this preparation? Well, the whole journey starts by building a really solid foundation. And this isn't about some complex technique or mystical experience. It's about developing two really fundamental skills for seeing clearly. First, the ability to tell the difference between what's real and what's temporary. And second, the emotional maturity to kind of let go based on that clarity. So the first quality is called viveka, or discrimination. Now, this isn't about being judgmental. It's about a powerful kind of intellectual clarity. It's the ability to look at everything you experience and clearly see the difference between what's permanent and what's, well, not. And when you do that, you realize something profound. The only thing that's truly permanent, the only thing that's always here, is awareness itself. Everything else, every object, every thought, every single feeling, it all comes and goes. And when you really truly feel that distinction, a huge realization hits you. If everything in the world is, by its very nature, changing and temporary, then depending on it for lasting security or permanent happiness is, well, it's a recipe for disappointment, every single time. Now, this isn't a cynical way of looking at the world, it's actually deeply practical. It completely shifts your focus from trying to squeeze permanence out of temporary things to finding your solid ground in what is already and always permanent. And that clarity leads you right into the second quality, which is called vairagya, or dispassion. Now, this word gets misunderstood a lot. It doesn't mean becoming cold or emotionless or just not caring about life. Actually, it's the opposite. It's a mature kind of emotional release. It's the freedom that comes when you no longer need things or people or outcomes to be a certain way for you to be okay. It's this deep inner letting go that just happens naturally when you see things clearly. Think of it this way. Through the lens of dispassion, a Rolex watch is no longer this big symbol of success or some magical cure for feeling insecure. It's just a tool for telling time. A $15 watch does the exact same job. Dispassion just strips away all the heavy psychological stuff we project onto objects. It lets us see things for what they are, not as solutions to our inner emptiness. And let me tell you, that frees up a ton of mental and emotional energy. Okay, so with that foundation of clear seeing in place, now we can start to build on it. Let's move on to the practical day-to-day tools that create real inner stability. This isn't about rigid, forceful control, but about cultivating a set of 6 connected disciplines that make the mind a much more refined and suitable instrument for this deep self-inquiry. So this toolkit is basically a set of 6 interconnected inner skills. It starts with shama, which is really just the gentle management of our own thoughts, learning not to get swept away by every little mental current, but to find a quiet center within all that activity. And from there, it flows right into dhamma, which is mindful control over our senses. It's not about depriving yourself, but about consciously choosing where you put your attention, instead of just being pulled around by every sight and sound. Next is uparama, which is the wisdom of turning inward. Just the simple but profound act of making time to look inside, to rest in your own nature instead of always looking for the next distraction. Then we have swadharma, which is the quiet integrity of doing your own duties, your own work, without comparing yourself to everyone else. It's about finding peace on your own path. Titiksha is this amazing inner toughness or forbearance, the ability to handle life's discomforts, big and small, without complaining or getting all agitated. And finally, all of this is held together by shraddha, which is a deep trust in the process, in the teachings, and in your own ability to see. It's the quiet confidence that keeps you going. Together, they create this incredible inner stability. And the really crucial thing to get here is that this entire toolkit is about an inner shift, not an outer one. You don't have to go live in a cave. True renunciation is mental. It's all about your attitude. You can be completely engaged in your life, in relationships, at work, but you hold this inner understanding that none of those external things can, by themselves, give you that ultimate lasting fulfillment you're looking for. And ironically, when you release that pressure, you often end up enjoying all those things way more. All right, so we've built our foundation, we've gathered our tools, and now we get to the very heart of the journey. These next qualities, they aren't just intellectual or about discipline. They are the emotional fuel. They're the motivational engine that keeps us going, especially when distractions pop up or old habits try to pull us back. This brings us to a really powerful, singular force called mumukshutva. It's often translated as the burning desire for liberation. Now think about it. Our lives are often pulled in 1,000 different directions by all these little desires, for comfort, for approval, for pleasure. Mumukshutva is the one big desire that organizes everything else. It's that deep, heartfelt longing to be free that when it really takes hold, starts to sort out and dissolve all those other little desires. But let's be super clear about what this actually means. This is not a desire to escape the world or reject life. Not at all. It's the desire to be free from the psychological dependence on the world for your core sense of security and happiness. It's the desire to be free from the fear, the frustration, the anger that happens when we stake our inner peace on things that are, by nature, impermanent. Really, it's the desire to be free from our own self-created suffering. And the final quality is bhakti, or devotion. And just like dispassion, this one is often misunderstood. In this context, it's not blind faith or some sentimental kind of worship. It's a natural, heartfelt love and appreciation for the truth that just bubbles up on its own from clear understanding. You know, it's like any deep relationship. The more you truly understand something or someone, the deeper your appreciation naturally grows. Knowledge leads to devotion, and that devotion makes you want to know more. It's this beautiful self-reinforcing cycle. Okay, so now let's bring all these different threads together. We've laid the foundation, we've gathered the tools, we've found the heart of the journey. And now we can really see how all these qualities work together to create a mind that is finally, truly ready for truth. Remember that initial problem we started with? That nagging feeling of incompleteness? Well, now we can see its source with total clarity. That feeling of lack comes directly from our mistaken strategy of depending on impermanent things, people, possessions, experiences, for a permanent sense of fulfillment. The qualities of discrimination and dispassion go right to the root of that error and pull it out. And what about all that constant inner noise, the agitation, the anxiety that so often clouds our minds? We can see now that all that inner turmoil comes from our own unmanaged thoughts and our senses just pulling us in every direction. That inner toolkit of discipline, managing the mind, the senses, having forbearance, it directly addresses all that mental and emotional static, creating a space of inner quiet and stability. And this brings us to a beautiful metaphor that just perfectly sums up the entire point of this whole process. An agitated mind, all stirred up by desires and fears, is like a choppy lake. If you try to see the reflection of the sun in it, all you get is this distorted, flickering, confusing image. But a still mind, a mind calmed by these qualities, is like a perfectly still lake. It doesn't have to create a reflection, it simply reflects the sun, the truth, perfectly, clearly, just as it is. The truth was always there. The mind just needed to become still enough to see it. So we can end with this final, quiet thought to sit with. What if this whole journey isn't about striving to achieve some far-off goal or trying to gain some new experience called enlightenment? What if instead all of this is simply a process of preparation, a quiet readying of the mind, a gentle cleaning of the mirror, so that we can finally recognize a freedom that has been right here all along, just waiting patiently to be seen?